Thank you so much for joining us. And your name, they say, what is it to a name? It's everything to a name. Hey, it means the special one. And you are indeed special in every single way. Let's talk firstly about kyphoscoliosis. Am I saying that correctly?
Kyphoscoliosis.
Kyphoscoliosis. Thank you very much. What are we talking about?
We're talking about a condition where the spine is an S shape or a C shape instead of straight. Now, because the spine is not in line, everything about the body kind of changes. So it changes the whole anatomy of the body. And sometimes one limps when they walk, and sometimes they are on a wheelchair.
Let's chart through your journey, looking specifically at that video that we've just seen in terms of your motivational speaking. What got you into that?
I grew up a very talkative person. I was so talkative that when I was in university, some people assumed that I was a motivational speaker because I was talkative and I was also a big reader. So sometimes I would just tell people about the things that I've read. And that got me to be invited to a high school where a group of university students were going for career guidance, and my friend Wandisile also invited me to go motivate the learners. When he approached me, he said, "Will you please come do this thing that you do?" And I said, "What thing?" And he said, "Motivational speaking." I said, "Okay."
Right.
So I went, and that 30 minutes was the best of my life to that point, because that's where I got to find what it is that I wanted to do with the rest of my life.
When we talk about motivational speaking, sometimes you think you're going to sit there and this person is going to give you all this loveliness and inspire you to get out of there and do something different with your life. What kind of themes do you cover or talk about when you give talks?
I have beat limits in my life. I've done things that were deemed impossible for a person of my condition and for myself. So when I speak, I try to drive out the message that nothing is impossible, as well as that we can live beyond our limits. I have recently been looking at using your limits as a push forward instead of a pull back, because that is what I have done with my life, and that's what has gotten me this far, to use this ability to push me forward in my life instead of holding me back or keeping me in one space.
I hear you use the term this ability instead of disability. Is it problematic in terms of some of the terms that we use to talk about people's conditions?
For a long time, I didn't have a problem with the term disability because that's what I was labeled at, and that's what I'd come to accept. But recently I realized that I can do everything that I want to do. So it's not, I do not have a disability. I'm not unable to do anything that I want to do. I can do everything that I want. So I'm just differently abled. So I call this ability, because there are so many things that I cannot do because of my condition, but there are also many things that I have learned to do because of my condition. So I now call it this ability instead of disability, because it is an ability to do things that other people cannot do.
Like you said, you faced many challenges and you've overcome them. There are people who are faced with many challenges and who don't even have half of the things that you have gone through. Let's talk to someone generally who is just discouraged and thinking, yo, where to from here for me?
Well, tomorrow holds a better plan for us. If you can stand today, you will definitely make it tomorrow. There are many times that we fall, there are many times that we think it's over, but if we can just get up every time that we fall, if we can just tell ourselves that it is not over, then it will be better. There are many things that people have gone through that they thought, you know what, I could never make it out of this, but they made it. So that means that for as long as you still have breath in your lungs, you can always make it. There were times when I was in hospital and my family was told that she might not make it through the surgery, but I always came through. I always came through. So I personally believe that nothing is impossible if you just believe. And there are 3 things that have worked for me throughout my life, and I call it my 3-part principle. You think it, you speak it, and you act it. So you think about what it is that you want. You are deliberate with your thoughts. You are intentional with your thoughts. There's a scripture that says that as a man thinketh, so he is. So everything that you think about will definitely manifest in your life. So think about it. And secondly, you need to speak it. The power of life lies in the mouth, in the tongue. So speak what it is that you want to see and continue speaking it. Do not speak what you see, but speak what you want to see. Do not speak what's happening today, speak what you want to see tomorrow. And the third one is act it. Do the things that you want to do. Wake up in the morning and tell yourself that you are going to be deliberate with your actions. You do not just idle. You do not just find yourself in a place, but you are deliberate and you are intentional about everything that you do. And that is where I have found myself today, because having this ability, it's easy to sit back and say, look, I can't do this, I can't do that, so it's best I just hide myself. But I was very intentional with my life. I was very deliberate with everything that I've done, and I have come this far. There were times when I woke up and I thought, you know what, I do not want to leave my room because I'm being laughed at, I'm being scolded, people are teasing me, they're making fun of my condition, which is something that I cannot change. But instead, I just looked at the bigger picture, I just looked at the goal. I always had a goal. Where am I going? Where do I want to go? High school life was the worst for me because now they no longer tease you, but they say things that actually hurt you. And you're a teenager, you try to protect yourself.
Kids are mean.
Kids are very mean. Kids are very mean. So I would try to protect myself, but I was very intentional. I never looked at what I cannot do. I always focused on what I can do. And I think that is why we've come to have terms like disability, because we look at a person that cannot walk instead of a person that can sing. You understand? So we always look at what a person cannot do instead of what they can do. And as a life coach, whenever I coach families that have children living with these abilities, I always ask the parents to focus on what their child can do. Focus on what they are good at, focus on their strengths, and help them flourish in that, help them grow in that, because that's what has helped me. That's what my family did for me. They focused on everything that I was good at. They focused at my speaking, they focused on my academics, because growing up I was very good in school. I was quite a smart learner. Yes. So they focused on that, and as a result, I spent a bigger part of my life focusing on the things that I can do instead of the things that I cannot do.
You mentioned such an important point, because sometimes when people fall pregnant, they get so excited, looking forward to the baby, and when the baby does come, or the doctor tells you that this baby has this ability and it's something that you didn't think it was going to present itself, then you start to think, so you are cursed, or there's something wrong with you. So that impacts the way in which you relate with the child. True. Parents, what is it that you tell them? You do tell them to change their minds, but what is it that you find in terms of challenges where they're saying, I'm really trying, but I'm failing here?
Well, the first step is to help the parent understand that it's not their fault. And secondly, it is to help the parent realize that the more they keep the child in or hidden from the rest of the world, the child will feel that they do not belong to the world. And so they will spend their whole lives in hiding. So I encourage parents to look at their child as a gift. Funny story, when I was younger, people would say to my family, oh, you have a special child. I did not know that they meant because of the disability. I thought I was special. So growing up for a long time, I actually thought I was a special person. Like I was special, not in the terms of disabilities, but special in like special, you know, but that also helped me realize that I was a special person. So by the time that I realized that they actually meant because of disability, it was already too late in my mind. Yeah. I had already believed that I was special. Sure. So parents should see their children as that. Indeed, they are special gifts. They are special, and they did not do anything to have that child, so it is not their fault. Some parents have guilt. They work around guilt. They feel bad, but do not feel bad. It is not your fault. And as you raise the child, raise them with love. If there is one thing that my mother got right, was telling me she loves me and that I am beautiful. My mother drove it so much into me that I was beautiful and that I was loved, that whenever I got teased, I never stopped believing that I was loved. I never stopped believing that I was beautiful.
Powerful.
So every time, actually, when somebody teases me, I would think in my mind, well, at least I'm smart, or well, at least I'm beautiful.
100%.
You know?
100%.
So my family affirmed me. They affirmed my brains, they affirmed my looks, they affirmed the love they had for me or they have for me. So parents, I encourage them to love their children, love them so much that there is not a shadow of doubt in their minds, that whatever the world throws at them, they know that they have love. Love can conquer a whole lot of things. So sometimes I was rejected in the world. I was rejected by friends, I was rejected by classmates, I was rejected by people that I cared about, but I knew for a fact that I was loved.
What are you most grateful for?
I am grateful to know Christ, because in Christ I have found that I am complete. I believe that God is perfect. And so if God is perfect, that means he creates perfect things. So if God creates perfect things and he created me, then I am perfect. And I don't mean to be cocky, but
It's
that's
not
just
being cocky. It's knowing yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that.
that is just how I see it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm grateful for, because no matter what happens to me, sometimes I wake up with back pains, sometimes it's hip joints, sometimes it's my leg, but there's constant issues. But through all of that, I know that I am perfect and I'm made perfectly. And having found my calling in life, because everything else now does not matter. How people look at me really does not matter, because what matters is that I speak and that I motivate people and I change people's lives. That's all that matters to me. The little things like being teased or being made fun of or being rejected, really, it no longer matters to me. So I'm grateful to have found my calling in life. I really am.
I hear your favorite quote goes something like this: when you leave, leave love. You have left me with a lot of love. Thank you
Thank
for
you
coming
so
through
much.
to chat
Thank
to
you
us
so much for
this
having me.
morning. It was a great pleasure. Xatyiswa, the special one, Maqashalala. Engosis.